Yes, they did that new update where it gives you a
I
message
don't,
when you
yeah,
start
I don't know if I
recording.
like that. So welcome everyone. I'm really glad everybody came. I'm Diana Lennon from the Austin Library. This is the virtual potluck. I'm very excited because tonight is Latin cuisine. And also this is going to be June will be our last month until September. We can talk about that more later, but let me introduce you to Ashley Covelli from Big Flavors from a Tiny Kitchen. Ashley. And
Hello,
here's
oh, there's
Patrice.
Patrice. Hi, I think I know everybody here. Patrice's background painting always makes me so happy. Hi, Patrice. I said you were connecting to audio, but I was saying I love that painting is so serene. I love it. So my name is Ashley, and I've been writing about food on the website Big Flavors from a Tiny Kitchen since 2006. So it's been this August, it'll be 15 years. I got to think of like some fun giveaway or something to do. But I live here in Austin, and one of my favorite things about living here is the awesome library system and being able to check out cookbooks, because I have a small kitchen, a small space. That closet back there is actually full of my husband's instruments, the ones that aren't out all over the place, and cookbooks. Like, it's just jam-packed. So if I want to have a new cookbook, I want to make sure it warrants the space it's going to take up in my house. And so going to the library is a great way to kind of take them for a test drive and check out new things. So I check out the puns. They happen. I didn't even mean it. So as you can tell, I love a bad joke. And I love for these cookbook discussions to be really laid back. And if you have any cookbooks that you have with you that fit our theme, and honestly, even if they don't, if you're just like, I'm so excited for this cookbook and you want to share, oh, awesome. I love questions, interaction, tangents about food and cookbooks. It's always fun. So this month's theme is Latin cuisine, like Diana mentioned. So I have a whole slew of different Latin cookbooks. And Diana emailed out earlier a link to the PDF I put together. It's also on the LibGuide on the Austin Library website. I'm going to make one edit to it, and I'll send her a new PDF tomorrow because I accidentally copied and pasted the wrong author name on my favorite book of the bunch. So yeah, I was looking, I was like, oh my gosh. So the PDF has the first 3 pages have cookbook recommendations. These are all ones that I got from the Westchester Library System. Austin has a ton, but also you can either through the website or you can use your phone on the, is there an app for the library to search the catalog? There's a new app, yeah. So you can pick whatever book is in any of the Westchester libraries, and it'll go right to your library for pickup, and they'll text you and or email you when it's ready. Anything like short of a carrier pigeon that like drops the books off at your house, it's pretty great. So some of these are from like Rye and a couple other libraries in town. I also have linked some Latin inspired recipes to try, and in that PDF, as well as on the last page, there's some local Latin restaurants that I really like. And one is a specialty market. If you're in Austin, La Placita, I don't know. My pronunciation, I took a couple of years of Spanish, but they have a ton of, yeah, they have a ton of ingredients. You wouldn't think that there's so much there, but like, because you go in, it's this little tiny narrow store, and upstairs there's all this produce. And like, if you want, I always say, if you want avocados to make guacamole today, like go there because they'll have a ripe avocado for you. They have a butcher in the back. There's a lot of really fun pastries. I have friends from Ecuador who said that they make like the best, I think their bakery's in the lower level. They said like their baked goods are very authentic. And then if you go down these stairs, I've talked about it, I think one of the months with Mary when she was here. There's a whole section of dried chili peppers, like any dried chili pepper you could need to make a Latin meal. And it's right below a really high ceiling with a smoke detector that has a battery that's been dying since I moved to Austin in 2005 because it beeps. So it's like this very high pitched chirping, but I feel like it's part of the experience. And I was just there last week to buy some tahine to make, to rim some cocktails. And I just like, it's part of it. Like it beeps, I know all is good in the world. But they have downstairs also a fish market and tons of like Peruvian chicken marinades and some staple grocery good items like cereal and toilet paper and that type of stuff. But they have tons of cool stuff, lots of interesting grains, masa if you want to make tortillas, lots and lots of stuff. So that's my like go-to recommendation. I can also walk there from home, so that's helpful. And if they speak English and Spanish, so if you want to go practice your Spanish, it's a good place to do it. Because I'm a little rusty from my high school Spanish years, but I can get by in there, so it's fun. So does anybody want to share? I could share a cookbook first if you guys want to share a cookbook, or just a favorite. Beverly says, I looked at the guide and it reminded me that I know not much about the root vegetables from Latin cuisine. I see them at markets, but never had the opportunity to taste nor see how to prepare them. Thus, I never buy them, need a tutorial. That's a great comment. And I think one of the books I have, this website, let's see, get the right link here. One of the books with the best name, it's just called Tacos. So we'll talk about this first because we'll talk about it. Come on. Comida, sorry, I can't help myself. Oh, is the site not work anymore? It said that there was a site, comida.com, but it doesn't look like it's loading now. Ooh, no. Well, there was a website and it said it had all sorts of information on Hispanic foods. Oh, they said also restmex.com. Let's see. I'll check it, make sure it's safe before you guys go. Okay. So this website is the virtual presence of a Latin food industry magazine called El Restaurante Mexicano. And so there's a lot of information on there. Some of it's geared toward like restaurant, if you need tortilla making equipment on a large scale and stuff like that. But they have recipes on there. As far as the ingredients, I know some of these books have sections on, especially this one, which is the one that I goofed up the author name, but this Lima Peruvian cookbook has really great information on different ingredients. So I'll share this one momentarily also. The way they describe them, if you see some of the fruits and vegetables, they kind of look alien and you're like, what do I do with this? And if you've ever gotten one and kind of eaten it the wrong way and it kind of puts you off to it. So definitely finding the right way to actually prepare them or enjoy them, or if you can get them out at a restaurant and try them first, that's also a good way, I feel like, to kind of dip your toes in the water. So this book, Tacos, by Mark Miller, 75 Authentic and Inspired Recipes. I picked it up because it was called Tacos, but the author grew up in New England and he spent the summers in Mexico, and his family friends owned this big hacienda store, and every day they would go shopping for ingredients and they would just have tacos. So he got to try all these really great tacos, and he was the impression was made upon him because street food in the United States was never prepared on the spot. It's like the hot dogs are sitting in the water, the condiments are already prepared, everything is there, they just kind of slap it together. But with Mexican street food and tacos, everything is like fresh, like they put everything on there and they're kind of cooking it right at the last minute for you. Like the meats may be stewed and prepared, but it's a different level. It's kind of more like home cooking, but out on the street. And he said that tacos are as much of daily part of daily life in Mexico as the Catholic Church, if that tells you how like seriously they take their tacos. So I thought that was kind of funny. He, in describing kind of the purpose of his book, says he wants to excite people about tacos, street foods that get his juices flowing when he's in Mexico. He wants the recipes to get the point across that tacos aren't some strange exotic fare. They're fun, immediate, inexpensive, healthy, modern, all portions, small portions you can enjoy throughout the day. It's food that's fresh, fast, economical, and easy, a good match to the rapid pace of our modern lifestyle. So, and he kind of talked about it as being out in Mexico, it's kind of like the great equalizer, like everybody you can be sitting outside with all these different people from all walks of life, CEOs, custodians, teachers, doctors, everybody can just sit there and eat a taco and you're all kind of the same because it doesn't really matter. So I thought that was a cool way to look at it. There's also, he goes into tortillas, making tortillas. There's so much good information in here. He's got pictures of like the process of making the dough. I thought it was really interesting that there's an upside and a downside for the tortillas. So there's a side that's supposed to be the top. So if you hold it in your hand, it'll kind of naturally curve up. And that's the side that's supposed to be on top. I think kind of when you have a corn tortilla, you realize it just feels one way, but there's actually a correct way to do it. Hi, Chris, welcome.
Hi, Chris.
So he's got, the first section is all taco basics. And this will prove that like tacos are not boring at all, but he's got taco basic and he gives you information about the heat levels where they're appropriate in the book. He referenced them, numbers 0 to 10, 0 being mild, 10 being the hottest. And he says that 60% of the heat in a chili is in its ribs or veins, and 30% of that is in the seeds, 10% is in the flesh. So you can moderate the fire of any dish by removing the ribs, veins, and seeds of a chili, or just the seeds alone, kind of depending how hot you want it. Got a whole bunch of information on different types of fillings, salsas, and sides. And this thing kind of, I never thought of it this way, but he says at its simplest, a salsa is a condiment whose flavorful ingredients are raw, partially raw, or cooked, and then that are combined together but never cooked together. And a sauce, the ingredients are cooked together. So I never really, I mean, I've noticed that there's a difference between salsas and sauces when eating, but I never really understood why. And I thought there's a lot of really good information on what actually makes them like that. And he talks about the layers of salsa and the layers of flavor and a well-conceived salsa. So the layers are unique and separate in your mouth, but they all go together really well. Corn tortillas are, in a lot of these, I think he does talk about flour tortillas also, and he's got recipes for both, and he tells you like how to make, there's no picture of that one, how to make both corn tortillas, flour tortillas, and how to do them for crispy tacos, flautas, taquitos, like basically all the good things you get out at a Mexican restaurant, you could actually make at home. I don't have a tortilla press though. Do any of you have a tortilla press? I like can't, it's like another gadget that I don't have room for.
It would be really fun to have one though, wouldn't it? Just love that. Yeah.
This that he's got here. So you put like saran wrap down, you put a ball of the masa dough in the middle and another saran wrap, and you kind of crank it closed to squish it. And then you open it up, you flip it over and you do it again. And that gives you that nice uniform like thickness throughout, because when you're cooking the tortillas, you want to make sure you don't overcook them and that they cook evenly. So yeah, I don't know, like you could do it rolling them out by hand. They just might not cook as evenly. Although I wonder, you know, those like rolling pins, they have those little like rubber bands you can put on the end of them that are different thicknesses. So you can roll them out and get an even thickness on like a pie crust. I wonder if maybe something like that would work. I haven't made tortillas, but I'm tempted because they look really good. He also in here talks about the fillings for tacos. He calls them edible artifacts of Mexican history, culture, and geography, as well as a platform for your own creativity. So if it's a taco from a region where there's a lot of tropical fruit, they'll have like tropical fruit salsas. If there's a place where like a certain type of meat is common or seafood, like those are the ingredients that'll feature heavily in their tacos. And then he gives a list for like the basic 7 if you're going to have a salsa bar. So for your tacos, these are the 7 things that he says you should have. 1 raw, that is fresh, like a salsa fresca, and like all of them have recipes later in the book if you want to make them. So 1 raw, 1 cooked, such as tomatillo arbol chili salsa, with something pickled, so try pickled onions with sweet bell peppers, plus Mexican crema or sour cream, chopped cilantro, chopped white onion, and lime wedges. Like that's all you like. If you're having like a basic thing, you don't need all these fancy things. Like you need those, and you're covered. And
Tuesday.
I'm sorry.
Taco Tuesday during quarantine.
Yeah.
Tuesday we'd make tacos, so we called
What
it.
was like?
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite combination that you made?
We did like the either shrimp or some kind of fish with like a peach mango salsa. We didn't make it.
Very nice.
So we did buy the salsa.
That doesn't matter. But I'm all for like anything that'll get you into the kitchen. Shortcuts are totally fine. Like maybe one day you want to go to an orchard and pick peaches and make your own peach salsa, but maybe one day you want to buy the one from the store that's already made because you want to have dinner and something tasty quickly. Like there's nothing at all wrong with that.
The thing I like with tacos, obviously the taste, but like anything goes, really. You can really put anything on a taco on a tortilla. It's just like so perfect.
And it's I like when I make tacos for my family, I'll do usually like just our like standard tacos. I'll either use pre-made taco seasoning, or if I have some that I made, I'll do either ground turkey, beef. I don't usually use ground chicken, or I'll use Beyond Meat. So it's a vegan, meat-free. It's not, I don't think it's plant-based. They might call it plant-based. It's pretty processed, but it's not meat. So we'll kind of, I'll pick one of those things. I'll make a big batch of the meat. And while it's cooking, I'll just cut up tomatoes, onions, lettuce, whatever we want to put, avocados if we have them. I do, if you can, shred cheddar cheese fresh from a block instead of buying the stuff in the package. It does make a big difference. You can use like a nicer cheese if you want, but also a lot of shredded cheese, the reason they don't stick together in the package is because they have an anti-caking agent that's basically like wood pulp. I mean, it's edible, but it's like, you know, it's, you couldn't unlearn that. But so if you ever noticed, if you pre-shred cheese by hand and you put the rest, like extra of it in the fridge, and it'll kind of clump together, it's because it doesn't have anything weird in it. But so I like that because you can do like assemble your own. Sometimes we'll have salsa or hot sauce, sometimes we won't. And we like using, my husband's lactose intolerant, so we'll do Greek yogurt plain instead of sour cream. And everybody loves it. They can put as much or as little of whatever as they want. And if you're trying to cut down on your amount of meat you're buying or the amount of meat you're eating, you can either mix it with, like the last week when I made tacos, I did ground turkey and Beyond Meat together. So I made like a double batch, but like half and half. Or you can add like a can of drained black beans in there. You can add a bunch of stuff in there to kind of stretch the amount of filling. Mushrooms are really good to stretch. It's like something that has kind of a meaty texture, but it's not meat. So there's a lot of ways you can stretch stuff, but breakfast tacos too, delicious. And you can do very simple, like in the slow cooker, chicken or pork or whatever. Even if you just buy like a can of tomatillo salsa or something, or enchilada sauce, and you kind of cook it in there and shred it up and makes easy taco fillings. So there's a section on all these beautiful ingredients of squash blossoms, which I know those come here in the summer, and I usually only see kind of Italian recipes made with them, but he's got some interesting ones. So he's got tacos made with, this one is squash blossoms with green chilies and cheese. And speaking of, somebody was talking about interesting ingredients. Have you heard of wheat la hoche? This is something I have not tried yet. So this is what it looks like in a taco. Says it's often referred to as Mexican truffle, even though it's not related to truffles or mushrooms, but rather a fungus that grows naturally on corn in its wild state. Spraying corn prevents the fungus. However, the flavor is pungent, earthy, and robust, all characteristics of true truffles. It's highly prized in Mexico. Fresh wheat la hoche commands top prices when sold in the open markets there. It's almost impossible to find fresh in the United States. The federal government requires a special permit to grow it as a way to control infestation of the corn crop, as the spores are disseminated by air. It's usually available frozen or canned. And it says these tacos are hearty enough to be served by themselves, but also make a great side dish for a main course of beef. So they're like kind of like blackened giant pieces of corn. I have heard, I haven't tried them. I mean, I would try it if I was at a restaurant and somebody gave it to me, but I feel like it's one of those things that like the aroma might kind of turn you off a little bit. But again, like if you go somewhere that they know what they're doing and they specialize in it, I feel like that's a good place to try ingredients that you're a little shy of normally. Like, you know, anything that seems a little intimidating, go to somebody who knows how to cook it, have them cook it for you, and then maybe experiment with it. But there's a whole section on chicken and fowl, all sorts of tacos, mole sauces. He's got some interesting combinations, like this one's chicken with apples and goat cheese. So not a traditional taco, but just kind of playing with the ingredients that that he has. This one, my son is like, wants to try it. I haven't cooked with calamari often. We eat it out a lot. Calamari with blackened tomato. My 9-year-old is like very excited to try this. And I feel like this taco would scare it would scare my mom. My mom would be like, no. So I want to like commend his boldness, and I might try to make it. The recipes aren't like super involved, but some of them contain a lot of components. So like the calamari tacos, there's oh no, this isn't too bad. I was gonna say some of them have like a salsa that you'll need to make in advance, or a sauce that you need to make in advance to kind of pair with it, but this one isn't too crazy. Got Baja style tempura fish tacos that look, if you're in Ossining or near Ossining, Brothers Fish and Chips has the best fish tacos. Oh my gosh, they're incredible. And you can pick between like 5 different types of fish or shrimp or chicken in your taco. So it's like depending on what kind of fish you like, and they're just flaky, and he does a mango salsa. They're really good. So there's
what's the name of that restaurant again, please?
It's called
Ashley?
Brothers Fish and Chips. I will find their website because the owner is wonderful. And his brother runs Risotto over in Thornwood. Which is he took that restaurant over a couple of years ago, and it's like so good. They do Risotto does a tableside cacio e pepe that they have a big cheese wheel, and they flambe it with, I don't know if it's cognac, and then they toss your pasta in a flaming cheese wheel, and then they serve it to you, and they put a poached egg on top and like drizzle it with basil oil. It's like ridiculous. It's so good. But yeah, Brothers, they have their fish tacos are incredible. I mean, all their food is really good, but their fish tacos are the best we've had, and they make a really good paella. And they've been doing cocktail like kind of cocktail nights on, I think it's every other Tuesday. So I think they're doing it tonight. And then the other alternating Tuesdays, they do like a wine night. So they've been doing some really fun stuff. So yeah. Also locally, Los Abuelos has really, they have some really great tacos. Does anybody have any favorite like local or local-ish? Like I'll drive a little bit for like good tacos, like you know.
There's a place in Croton. I just can't remember the name though. I just can't remember. It's like up from the ShopRite on the right. Total blank on it. Mex to go or something.
Oh, Mex to go. Yeah, I think I have that in my list.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I like that you can choose all your different things and everything.
Yeah, you can kind of mix and match with the like salsas and stuff and the different types of meat. This place, speaking of kind of like specialty things, I haven't been here yet. This is also in the PDF, but it's called Croqueteria. It's a new place in Sleepy Hollow, and it's says home of the real Cuban sandwich, but they have like all these crazy croquettes. Like it looks really good. So I'm very curious to try that. My husband's always looking for a good Cuban sandwich. And the other, like, I mean, all the ones that I listed in here I like quite a bit, but there's one that I kind of found recently or tried recently, El Rey Salvadoreño restaurant in Ossining. It's over, oh yeah, Taco Dive Bar. I haven't been there, but I tried to go and they weren't open yet. But I've heard really good things about that place. It's right on by the train station. That El Rey, oh, I guess that didn't taste right. The El Rey Salvadoreño restaurant is awesome. I looked up, yeah,
I really like it. Yeah.
I saw that they had tacos and you know, things that I've had at other places, but I was like, what is this pupusas? So that's the national dish of El Salvador, and so it says all of them are freshly made at the time you order. So it's like you're not going to get it right away. You need to wait a bit, but it's I think it's a masa dough, and it's filled with, depending on what you choose, they have beans and cheese or chicken. They have one that's cheese and pork rinds. They have one that's jalapenos and cheese. Chicken and cheese is like, it's so good. And they look so unassuming. It's just kind of like a little flat disc, and you're like, okay. And it's so good. They also have tamales, which is something I've tried to get. I just don't like them. I don't know why. I like all the components. My husband loves them though. So the ones they had there are the kind of bigger ones, and I think banana leaves, as opposed to like the small little flat kind of tamales. And they're pretty big at the Salvadorian place. And the people that work there are super nice. My son got a carne asada type of thing there that he really enjoyed. And they have some fun snacks and stuff behind the desk. But yeah, I know it's next to a place that you would not think. It's called Texas Gyro. In New York, you guys say gyro. You wouldn't think. It would be amazing. They have phenomenal, pita sandwiches. They have falafel that's really good. Based on the name, you're like, this can't be. This sounds weird. It's like the logo's like flames, and it looks a little intense. It's like, but it's very, very good. All right, so would anybody like to share a cookbook or any Latin?
I had a couple, real quick, because
Please.
I just found this at the library because we're kind of on Mexican and tacos and stuff. The thing for me, this is like super simple. It's just called Mexican Authentic Recipes from South of the Border. And it's not new or anything, but it's just like everything seemed really simple and straightforward. It's just like some salsas, beans and rice, some sweet things, some drinks and stuff, and just like that's it. That's the whole deal, right?
Yeah,
Very short, easy,
more like a little more cookable.
Yeah,
some of the books are a little intimidating.
Yeah, it's not intimidating. You know what I mean? It's just like really, really nice. Pork ribs with chorizo and smoked paprika.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's one with zucchini flowers. How you were talking about.
Oh, look at
that. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. So I went to look more at that, but it's just like when it's simple and straightforward, that's appealing to me right there.
Yeah, oh, totally. There's something to be said for like one of our previous discussions, we talked about Asian cuisine, and there was this one cookbook, I think it was the Mission Chinese restaurant cookbook. The recipes, and the author even says like, these recipes are intense. They're like made for restaurant stuff, so whatever. But the story throughout the cookbook is really interesting. And I think that's something that this program kind of taught me, is looking at cookbooks in a new way. Instead, I used to just like, I'd flip through them. Oh yeah, this looks good. This looks good. But if you actually read some of the stories behind the either the author's experience or their family or whatever kind of inspired them to make it, is really interesting. On page 4 of the list today. Oh yeah, that's a recipe I came up with several years ago. It's roasted kabocha and eggplant tacos with poblano crema. Yeah, that was, I think that was at one of my husband's gigs. He plays in bands, and I was eating tacos and I was like, ooh, I have a kabocha squash at home. I bet I can make that into a taco. And like, it totally worked. So that's why I call mine the Latin inspired, not necessarily authentic, but it was delicious. So I have tons of books, and I realize I talked a lot about tacos. So I will go through a kind of quick overview of just some of the more interesting ones. This book is not Latin specific, but there are Latin recipes in here. Around the World in 80 Food Trucks. And this is by The Lonely Planet people. They do a lot of travel guides. So it's easy and tasty recipes from chefs on the road, Peruvian, Japanese, Lebanese, Mexican, and more. So this book is so cool. Let me open it to a Latin one for demonstration. Filipino, okay. So each spread is dedicated to a food truck somewhere in the world. They get like a whole page that shows off their food truck and a little blurb about them. You get a quick little history of the food truck. They give you their, if they're on Instagram and Facebook, their handles and a recipe from their food truck. So my guess is that the recipes are like almost how they make them, because I feel like, you know, if you go to a restaurant and the chef gives you their recipe, it's like they're probably doing something a little bit different because they don't want, you know, when I make recipes for my website, I share exactly what I do because I want people to be able to enjoy them. But I feel like for something like this, like it's probably not exactly, but I'm sure it's amazing. So like this one, Peruvian Sacha taco from Hit and Run in Lima, Peru. And so it says this is one of the first food trucks in Peru. Hit and Run has creativity as its driving force. Unique ingredients representative of the diverse regions of Peru pop up on the menu, which seems to change as often as the chalk graphics decorating the truck. The owner puts into play ingredients that are rarely consumed in the capital city, making the culinary experience as surprising for locals as for foreign visitors. One week, the menu will list 3 variations of the classic late night snack, salty papas, fried wedges of Peruvian potatoes topped with hot dog slices. And the next wraps inspired by exotic flavors of the Amazon, or a Northern Peru edition full of tender beef, corn, and fried plantains. So it's kind of cool to see the different things that inspire these different food trucks. This is another one in Peru, the cajacha. Just the food is so beautiful, and it's cool that they kind of feature one of their main dishes that they're one of their most well-known ones. This one is from the food truck is called Tapi Tapioca in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And the recipe that they're sharing is a tapioca pancake filled with brie, toasted almonds, and truffle honey. And I am gonna make this because it looks so good. Truffle honey is delicious, but it's very easy to overdo it. I have a recipe that I make with really thin slices of eggplant, and you bread them and fry them, and you make a grilled cheese with manchego cheese. And if you drizzle truffle honey over it, it's really good. I saw a couple of people like, whoa. It sounds super weird, but it's very good. So this Brazilian food truck, it's
excuse me, Ashley.
Yeah.
The first word in that description was tapioca. What form of tapioca does it use?
So it uses tapioca starch powder, not pearls or granules. So you can get it. Yeah, it's like in bags. You can find it at health food stores sometimes. Honestly, like Stop and Shop and ShopRite have been doing great jobs. Acme, like they've been doing great jobs with their international food selections. But definitely H Mart, you could get there, or online. So it says, yeah, tapioca is the starch extracted from the cassava root, a vegetable native to Brazil, which has long been used as a staple food. So yeah, it has like this interesting chewy texture when you make it like this. But yeah, I actually had a lot of interesting ingredients, dishes made with tapioca years ago at the fancy food show they do in New York City. It's at Jacob Javits Center. Oh yeah, Bob's Red Mill probably has it. That's a good point. Brazil had a whole like column full of different tents from different companies, and a bunch of them had tapioca products because it's so abundant there and it's not really used here. And they're kind of like saying like, this is going to be the food of the future. And I tried it in some really interesting ways. It is not low carb. If there's any, like some people don't, just because it's a powder and it doesn't, I know it looks like it would be like a healthy low carb thing. It's not, but depending what you do with it.
It looks and sounds innocent.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, there's a lot of really fun food trucks in here. This not Latin, but just to show you kind of the variety. There's Korean japchae banchan, and that's a truck, Kim Jong Grillin in Portland, and it says Portland, USA. Okay, Portland, Oregon. Because I like, I was like, is it there or is it Maine? Because there's more than one. But there was one in New York City, and I was like, oh, next time I go down there, I should try that. It looks really interesting. But there's ones from Canada, the United States, DC. Oh, here it is. Not Latin. Pork souvlaki from Uncle Gussie's in New York City. I mean, come on. And then they have a recipe for it. So like, you know, you could, in theory, make this and try it at the food truck and just see. So anyway, this book is really fun. It's interesting to see the different trucks from around the world. Yeah, and then if you're ever like on a road trip and you're like, hey, I'm gonna be in Portland, like what food trucks should I hit up? Yeah, Bob's Red Mill has a lot of really interesting ingredients. And too, you know, La Placida might have that. I want to say I may have bought that there before, because they have a lot of ingredients for all sorts of different like Central American, South American dishes. If anybody wants to jump in, please feel free. If you want to cut me off, like because I'll just keep sharing otherwise. But this is, I think, my favorite cookbook of the group. It's called Lima, the Cookbook, Peruvian Home Cooking. This book is, first of all, gorgeous. So what I like to do when I read a cookbook, I'll read all the introduction sections, just like beautiful market photos. I'll read all the introductions, and then I'll actually kind of read it like a book and read the head notes for each of the recipes. And that way you're getting an overview of everything that's in the cookbook, but you're not like reading the full cookbook, you know? So I read this whole book on the way up to Brewster. No, not Brewster. The place where Glazed Over Donuts is. I'm blanking on what town that is. Like up like a 40 minutes up north of here. Anyway, this book has so much wonderful information on the different types of ingredients. Like somebody was talking about ingredients that you don't recognize. This is one, if you've been to a Peruvian restaurant or like Ají Limo here in Ossining, they serve this as kind of a starter. They just bring it out to your table. And this is concha corn and lime. So this says concha corn kernels are a type of Peruvian popping corn. The original word is camcha, which comes from the, I'm not gonna say this right, Quechua, Quechua language, meaning toasted corn. This ancestral Andean, what's that?
It's from Quechua, so Quechuan.
Okay, yeah. This ancestral snack, the favorite snack of Peruvians, is served to accompany drinks before lunch or dinner. It's also added to ceviche to give a crunchy contrast to the dish. So they're like really large, like larger than a kernel of corn, like what we would see on a corn on the cob that grows in the US.
What is that called again?
Concha corn.
Yeah, it's like really hard, right? Like not hard, but
it seems like it would be a lot like a corn nut, but it's a little softer on the inside.
yeah, I'm pretty sure I've had it. It's very good.
Yeah,
Very good
Ají
snack.
Limo here in Ossining does them, and they're just really, really good. So this recipe, I mean, it's only if you can find that type of corn kernel, it's just that, some oil, sea salt flakes, and limes. Like that's it. And it's just like a fun kind of different thing. It would be good. I'm always about like a cheese board or a snack board. That would be a great addition to a cheese board. They have just the different produce that they feature in this.
Nice.
The markets just look incredible. These, you can see those. I put that, so page 14, I had to make a note of which page this was on because this kind of blew my mind. That's plantains, not plantains. Which one was this? Oca, is that Oca? 52. So oca is a tuberous stem grown in Peru, rich in iron and vitamin C. It's widely used in South America for baking or cooking, or as an alternative to potato. Oca can be, it's OCA, can be cooked or eaten raw, thinly sliced, and served like radish. The greens are edible too and has a taste similar to sorrel. So I was looking at this picture trying to figure out which one was oca. So that's when I looked it up and I found it online, and that was those little kind of crinkly looking long tubes. And they come in a couple different colors. But it's not a potato, but it can be used kind of like a potato. But it's in another page here, it says, potatoes originate from the Andes, and there are more than 4,000 varieties registered in Peru, which is like, my son's a potato hater, except for French fries. So I told him, I was like, oh, we should go to Peru, have some fries. But like, they just do so many beautiful things with them. So there's plantain chips and different types of potatoes. They have a lot of really colorful varieties. And oh, if you've been to a Peruvian restaurant and you've had like the Peruvian roast chicken, that's like amazing. They sell, you can make it homemade, but there's a jar of marinade downstairs at La Placida. It's in a little jar. It says like Peruvian chicken, like a whole chicken in a jar of that, and you let it marinate overnight and you grill it. It is ridiculous. It's so good. But there's, I've made this recipe before from Platings and Pairings, and I'll taste. Sometimes I'll make the chicken marinade that's on there, and it's pretty easy. It's not anything too complicated, but the green sauce that comes with it, like that recipe nails it. It's so good. And it's much greater than the sum of its parts. It's jalapenos, cilantro, garlic, mayo, Greek yogurt, lime juice, salt, pepper, and olive oil. And you blend it all together. And it's like, depending on how much heat you put in there, how much jalapeno, it can be super spicy. But it doesn't have to be. I usually like go back on the jalapeno a little so that all of us will eat it, and then husband can add extra if he wants. But that sauce is really, really good. There's a ton of, let's see, page 95 has some of the different types of ingredients. So just some of the ones that are more unique to the area. So this one is cactus fruit, and then in parentheses it says, or red tuna, which if I would have seen red tuna listed somewhere, I would not have pictured a fruit. Aloe vera leaf, and there's a lot of like aloe vera drinks you can get with like pieces of aloe vera floating in them. This one is chermoya. That's what the inside looks like. It's also called, is that the one that's also called custard apple? Which sounds very interesting to me. But yeah, there's just some really interesting things. So if you ever see them at the Stop and Shop, has a lot of, I don't know if they have these, I know they have aloe vera. I don't know if they have all these specific ones, but they have quite a few interesting like Latin fruits and yucca that can kind of be used like potato. There's a whole section on ceviche, and apparently the way that ceviche, it's a fish that's cooked but not really cooked. It's with like citrus juice, and it people used to think you needed to like let it marinate for a long time to get it to like cook all the way through, so the acid actually like penetrates the flesh of the fish. But apparently the new method to do it is you do it at the last minute, and it shouldn't be done any more than like 2 minutes before you're going to eat it. So there was a whole section on cevicherias and like the new methods for how they make ceviche. And it says more than just a dish, ceviche, or ceviche as it's called in Peru, represents a concept. There are only 2 central rules in making a perfect Peruvian ceviche: the use of fresh ingredients and the preparation minutes before serving. The cevicherias, restaurants that serve ceviche, are open only for lunch in Peru, upholding the old traditional view that only in the morning are the fish truly fresh. So I don't know if we get fish that fresh here, but jackfruit. I feel like jackfruit might be Asian, but I think
it's Asian. I think it's a tropical. Sure. Yeah, I think it's Asian originally.
But that's a good question. Though.
Look it up.
There's so many fruits that are used in different cuisines that they kind of work either way. So jackfruit origin, it is
it looks
Malaysian,
Asian. I just
Southern
looked it up.
Indian,
Yeah.
Sri Lanka. Yeah, that's supposed to be, I haven't cooked with it, but you're supposed to, like, the texture kind of resembles like pulled pork. And it's not, from what I understand, it's not like a fruity taste. So it's a kind of good canvas for other flavors. All right, we're almost out of time, so I'll just quickly mention, there's a couple books from Rick Bayless. He's got tons of books. I just have 2 of them. This one, Mexico One Plate at a Time, is a companion to the 26-part public television series that he did years ago. And I used to love watching that. And he kind of takes you through a story behind the traditional preparation of a dish and his take on it. He does a lot of talking about the different markets. There's some tamales, but he's got so many great authentic Mexican recipes. And then this More Mexican Every Day is the sequel to Mexican Every Day. And he gives you kind of base recipes and then he shows you multiple ways to use them. So if you bother making this type of chicken, here's a couple ways that you can use it. And he writes the recipes kind of in an interesting way where instead of the list of ingredients and then the directions, he gives you a little bit of a story about it, how much it serves. And he says, like, first I do this, I make the sauce, then when it's hot, I add this, then I let it thicken, and then I do this. So it's kind of more of a narrative instead. But at the end, a recap of what you need and gives you the ingredients. So, like, to make it a little easier to shop from, because trying to kind of pick it out through there would be tricky. And then he'll tell you like riffs on. So he has a chilaquiles recipe, and then at the end, here's a couple riffs on like other ways you can do something with it. Or if you've made this specific type of meat cooked in whatever sauce, here's a few different ways that you can use it. Thank you, Joanna. Yeah, I was telling Diana that earlier, like, so I was like, oh, this makes me hungry. I have to do dinner before this. So I'll take a quick survey. If any of you would like to cook along with me later this month on June 22nd at 6, so that's in 2 weeks, gonna make some Latin inspired dishes. And I realized when I was putting together my suggestions that one of them is more Spanish than Latin. So I'm gonna throw it out to you guys which way you want me to go with it. So there's a mango jicama and black bean salsa that I love, and that one's delicious. And I was gonna do homemade baked tortilla chips with it because it's an easier, less fatty, kind of lighter way to enjoy that. And the second dish I was gonna do that's actually kind of more Spanish is a honeyed chorizo and fig crostini. It's a really fun party bite, but it kind of fits our theme, but not really. So I just wanted input on that. If you think I should avoid the Latin or the non-Latin dish, we can either do that salsa is really good on a tofu and black bean taco. It's a really nice accompaniment up top. I can look for something else to make if you guys are interested. It depends, I guess, if you want to cook along or what kind of things you would like to see, but I thought I would throw it out to you. And then, yeah, after that, we'll be back September 14th. So we'll take a little summer hiatus, and then we'll have more themes. I'm thinking definitely brunch will be one of our, like, breakfast and brunch recipes will be one of our themes. Desserts should be one. And Mary's not here, but My Sweet Mexico has got like some really fun, it's all Mexican dessert recipes, authentic pastries, breads, candies, beverages, and frozen treats. So there's a lot of cool different stuff. Yeah.
Actually interesting. I see Beverly's mentioning, I think maybe something like I was just going to ask about. I don't know if the yucca vegetable is considered the Latin American, and I don't know that that was mentioned tonight, but if there could be a recipe that would show how to prepare the yucca, like the yucca fries. Beverly,
Yeah,
was that, like, what kind of root vegetable did you have in mind?
I've had, I think the yucca fries up at the town Crier Cafe in Beacon, and they were quite good.
Yeah, those
You know,
Sorry,
I'm
go ahead.
to winter squash and all the New England type of things. I just would like to have
Yeah.
one root vegetable that might have a lot of adaptations, but you know, how
Yeah,
to cook it or what it looks like, how to cut it, you know.
So yeah, the one that's in the salsa recipe that I was planning to make is it's jicama, and it's a globe-shaped root vegetable with papery
Oh.
golden brown skin and a starchy white interior.
Okay.
That one's fun because you can eat it raw, and it's kind of like a blank canvas, but it's really nice and crunchy and fresh, so it's really good for summer.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've done
It can
jicama.
be, yeah. I'll see if I can find a good like resource for you though. I'll pass it along to Diane if I can find a good resource for like people who really know like Latin vegetables or just I guess produce in general. We had a cookbook in the Korean discussion or in the Asian cuisine discussion, and it's a Korean cookbook, and she had such great info on all these different types of products like produce and sauces and just ingredients that you don't necessarily know. And if there was a Latin one of those, it would be great because there's so many, or really for any cuisine, there's so many ingredients that people aren't necessarily familiar with here, that are like everyday things there.
I'm sure there's got to be one out there that we can dig
Yeah.
up.
And one we
Yeah.
can locally, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think between like there's a lot of stuff even at just like the chain supermarkets around here too. Between those, La Placida, like I was saying, and like an H Mart, even Whole Foods, or Mrs. Green sometimes has stuff like that too. So yeah, there's definitely a lot to experiment with. Yeah.
I'm just going to throw out too, like if anybody has like some of these that Ashley mentioned, you can get, of course, through the library system, which I encourage you to do. But if we don't own them, I can probably purchase them. So I'm definitely going to get that Lima one. And the top.
No,
one.
that's your.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's
that's
through
it.
the
That's through the
Westchester Library
system. Yeah,
system,
yeah.
but not. Yeah, it's the photography in it is gorgeous, and it gives
Yeah.
a lot of really good information on what the ingredients taste like. I'm gonna return it tomorrow. Beverly or whoever asked me about that, was it Beverly? I'm gonna return it tomorrow, so it'll be back in the library system. I think I looked earlier and there was a couple copies available, just not yet at Ossining. But yeah.
Yeah, we do have, I have to say, a pretty good cookbook collection. You definitely should go browse that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely.
And then I would say locally, if you just really want to like look at them before you check one out, Ossining, and I would say Chappaqua has a really good like cookbook aisle also. Those are probably the ones I've been to, the two biggest.
Are they open without a permit?
Yeah,
Chappaqua
I
has
walked
not full hours, but they're getting there, and we are pretty much, except for a couple hours, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday mornings, we're open. Our regular hours. We're open Sundays now, 1 to 5. Saturdays 9 to 5. So, yeah. All right.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining. I'll think a little bit more about which recipes to do, but I think also certain things like deep frying, and for a virtual class, a little iffy, like with the smoke detectors and whatever. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of fun ingredients that we could play with, and if ingredient preparation is something that's of interest, maybe we can look at another time. Like, the theme could be, potatoes, whatever, could be something, and then we'll like look at different ways you could do things with them.
Yeah, that's a whole class discussion in itself. Root vegetables or potatoes or whatever. Yeah.
That would be maybe good for the fall, actually.
Yeah,
Root
root vegetables and I like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I love when it's like a collaborative thing, because it's fun to like hear what you are interested in, and that always helps me too. Like when I write stuff for my website, I like to be able to give people what they're looking for and make it fun and accessible and not so scary. Like,
I guess
how do I tackle this crazy fruit?
If you do something for summer for next week, and the jicama raw and whatever, it's something that we would probably right away. Yeah. And then we'll save the roasting and frying and whatever for this fall.
Makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and I also wouldn't spring a recipe that I haven't like made several times and tested on a class. Like I would, so if I don't have anything
course.
for one of these, yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate
although
that.
that could be fun. Let's see what happens. Let's go to the store and do it like chopped and just see. So yeah, awesome. I'm so glad everybody took time out of their day to join, and I hope you have a great summer, and feel free always to, you'll probably see me at the library sometime, or feel free to reach out to me or Diana if you have any questions or suggestions for this program.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. We're so glad you came, and happy cooking. All right. I will see
Yeah.
you on June 22nd.
Yeah,
Tuesday
6
at
p.m.
6. Yeah. And you have
Yep.
to register on the calendar on that day to make sure you get that link. Okay.
Okay,
All
great.
right.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you,
Diana.
everyone.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Thanks.
everyone.
Get to the record. How do you access the record?